Hello and welcome to the Broken Elevator, where we pitch the films Hollywood's too scared to make. I'm Womsum, and this week, Tam's pitching
Papers, Please. It's Gamer Month! Again! Yay! Why aren't you celebrating? Why are you so quiet?
because it means we're like at the end of the season.
4 weeks from now, but right now it's the start of a whole new thing. Yay!
Yeah, to be honest, I should be the most excited.
Yeah.
I'm the
Exactly.
one who actually plays
Likes
games.
games.
Whoa! You're probably the gamiest gamer out of
The
us.
gamiest gamer.
But, I mean, I still, play video games occasionally, which is why I thought that
Bruv,
this would be your
When
thing.
was the
we
last
do.
game that you completed, fam?
Last game I completed, Injustice 2, like last week.
Yeah, but that's a fighting game. That don't count.
It has a story mode.
That shows how much of a gamer you are, cuz.
Oh,
Not complete
sorry.
fighting games.
I got 10 game of the plays or in Overwatch last week as well.
Oh, did you?
No.
Oh, then I was about to validate you, but no. Yeah, Game of Month's great. Last year was really good. Came out with some pretty funky ones, I would say.
Yeah.
Oh, Fox. So it was pretty good. wasn't it?
FIFA.
Oh, yeah, actually, FIFA was pretty good.
Yes,
I'm not
for
gonna lie.
example, so we're back.
Does anyone remember Tom's one?
I do. Have you guys been playing any games recently?
What was that game I was playing just 10 minutes ago?
You're playing. This guy was playing Inside by
Man, that game's creepy.
Play Dead. Yeah, it's by the same guys who made Limbo. And Limbo.
That game was creepy.
Was creepy. I'm playing the only relevant game at the moment, Breath of the Wild. I don't know. I'm still playing that game. Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. That game. I think I've spent at least 300 hours on that game.
Wow.
It's the greatest game I've ever played.
It's not even on the Switch, so you actually have to come home to play it.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got it on the Wii U, so I actually have to play it. So imagine, like,
You've been plotting on that chair.
exactly. No girl's been seeing me in that time, fam. Just like me and Zelda.
Do girls see you anyways?
The only girl you've seen is Zelda. So for me, it's been Injustice 2, Witcher 3, which I am absolutely flopping on.
Yeah, it's a hard game.
It is, especially
Witcher 3 is
since
hard.
I left the early zone. I left the easy zone a bit too early.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, time to go on an adventure.
Yeah.
Level 3 Witcher here. Level 10 villains. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
going back to the other place. Turn around. But yeah, so the other... I've been doing a little bit of PC gaming as well. I've been playing a couple of indies. But all old ones. None from this year. And the one that I've jumped on the most recently is Papers, Please, which I think is from like 2014, 2013. It's developed by a guy named Lucas Pope, who used to work for Naughty Dog before moving to Japan with his wife.
Lucas Pope is a serious name. I like that name.
Yeah, that's a strong name, man.
So yeah, so the full
Good on the
title
CV.
of the game is Papers, Please, a dystopian documents thriller. This game really just sort of jumped out at me as like, it's a simple premise, but the sort of technical side of it is pretty interesting. So the plot of it is so let me read it from Papers, Please wiki. The communist country of Arstotzka has ended a 6-year war with neighbouring Kolechia and reclaimed its rightful half of the border town, Grestin. Your job as an immigration inspector is to control the flow of people entering the Arstotzkan side of Grestin from Kolechia. Among the throngs of immigrants, visitors, and people looking for work are hidden smugglers, spies, and terrorists. Using only the documents provided by travellers and the Ministry of Admission's primitive inspect, search and fingerprint systems, you must decide who can enter Arstotzka and who will be turned away or arrested.
Right. I love that. Like, from the video that you showed me, it literally looks like you're dragging and dropping. And you're clicking. And it's so funny because with games, like, little sounds like make all the difference sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like animation. It's like you can have a really nice looking animation, but if you don't have the sounds crisp, and work, like, it doesn't have that punch. But this game literally looked like, every time
you hear the sweep of paper, you get the stamp.
And it gives you this little satisfaction. Oh, I'm working. If only it was like that in real life. You get super excited about opening up the friggin' cashier to put somebody's money in, like, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I see someone at check-in at the airport, you're bored as hell.
If I played it the year it came out, it probably would have been one of my games of the year.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it fun to play then?
'cause
Yeah.
I mean, it's if the narrative going through, because all like this gameplay, it takes place over like 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
The story mode takes place over 30 days, so you're playing that 30 days in a row. But each day is different. There's something different. There's like a new document that you need to file. There's a new thing you need to check. There's like you need to X-ray people.
Right.
You need to detain people. You need to like stop someone from climbing over the border wall. All that sort of stuff. And it's just like as you're playing through it, you don't know what's going to happen next. There's like you get involved in some of that espionage as well.
Yeah.
You have the option to get involved in that espionage. There are 20,
Oh wow.
There are 20 different endings.
It's wow,
Oh, okay,
nice.
then.
Nice. I think what's nice about it as well, just the little animations of seeing the people at the top.
Waiting in the queue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like all these little figures, and like when they get through, you just see like a little figure walk through. Like the composition of it is all cool.
I forgot you should mention it's an 8-bit game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of it's like a 16-bit game.
Yeah, 16-bit.
So Lucas Pope, he was inspired by like the Bourne films and the like border scene from Argo. He took that into he took that inspiration when he was developing this game because him and his wife were going between Japan and I think Singapore quite a bit. So he was going through like border patrol, going through immigration quite a lot. So he did bring up the question, I wonder what that's like.
And then he had to pick on the Eastern Europeans.
Yeah, but that's because that probably has the most interesting story. I mean, he made up his own countries. He had a previous game which included one of the countries which is included in this game. So there's like so you're working as this sort of like border investigator guy.
Yeah.
And you're letting in people from six different countries. So you've got your own country of Arstotzka. Glory to Arstotzka.
Glory to Arstotzka.
There is Kolechia, which is a country that Arstotzka was at war with for 6 years. Kolechia.
Sounds like a Nigerian name, fam.
There's Obristan. Antegria. There's Republia. Impor.
They're poor.
Impor.
I know. I'm just
and the United Federation.
This game, the names of the countries, the direction it's going in, feels like it has a lot of opportunity there to like explore like morality in
there are
like this sort of.
There are quite a few moral choices that you have to make in the game.
Yeah,
like there's one person who has there's a couple who comes. One of them has the correct visa, and then he's like, "Oh, make sure you let in my wife. She's coming in next, and she doesn't have the right visa." So it's up to you to decide to let love stay together or to tear them apart in the name of.
Yeah, but I bet she's a drug dealer.
I don't know. Probably
carrying
not.
it under her dress, like.
Right, man, you do not trust love, do you?
Wait, where is she from? Is she from? Is she from Kolechia?
Probably from Kolechia.
Allow it, man. I don't trust them Kolechians.
So I've decided to sort of go full circle. So while this game was inspired by films, I've decided to make a film adaptation of it.
Go on, then.
And sort of make my own dystopian document thriller. So I might as well start my pitch.
Do it now.
I've sort of had to sort of develop my own history of what happened in this war. So there was the 6-year war between Arstotzka and Kolechia, which began in 1975 and ended in November 1981. Most of this war was based in Grestin, which is a city that bordered both countries, and it was basically about the two of them fighting about ownership of this city. The war ended when they signed a treaty agreeing to split the city in two, with East Grestin and West Grestin. Outside of Grestin, there was a coastal city in Arstotzka, which was called Nirsk. They used to have great import and export with a lot of their bordering countries, quite close to Kolechia, which is why the Arstotzkan naval forces have pretty much taken Nursk over to use as a naval base, as submarines from Kletcher were seen off the coast of Nursk. Because of the presence of both military sides, the fishing industry there has sort of dried up, which means that Nursk itself isn't bringing much money in from the fishing side. So a lot of people who are only trained in fishing aren't really earning money. So the year is 1976. We're a year into the 6-year war, and we meet Alexander. The inspector doesn't have a name in the game, so I gave him the name Alexander, which I found out afterwards actually means like defender, protector, which is kind of appropriate. I guess he's like protecting the border. Alexander, he's in his mid-20s. He is a resident of Nursk, and he used to work on a fishing boat, but because of the naval presence, it's kind of difficult for them to go out and fish. So there are only a few boats which are allowed to go out. So he is trying his best to get work on those ships, but they've already got their crews. They don't need an extra set of hands. So as the youngest child of 4, the youngest son, he is forced to stay in this village and sort of, provide for his family. He's still his parents have passed away. He's got an uncle. He's got a wife, and he has a mother-in-law, and he has a baby on the way. So to make money for himself, he has agreed to show a pair of journalists around the village because they want to write an article about the state of the outer villages and how they're impacted in the war. So Alexander and his best friend Maciej, Maciej.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
That's it.
So the two of them, they agree to show these 2 journalists from the United Federation around for a fee, of course. So they take them around and they basically just watch as these 2 journalists, one's a photographer, one's the actual journalist, as they just interview a few people around. So this is where we get some of that background story from. We actually hear it from the people themselves. So they decide to go into a bar for lunch. It's a pub by the river, which none of the massive naval ships are getting that far in because the river is pretty narrow by that point already. But a few of the fishing boats that are allowed to go out, one of them starts to come back in, and it looks like they've got a big haul. There's like a pile of something in their small boat covered by a blanket. So this, of course, draws a crowd. People are like, oh my gosh, fish, I haven't seen that much for months. So people actually start coming out of their houses, out of their shops, to look at what's happening. And the blanket is drawn out, and 3 guys with guns all step out.
Oh shit.
And start shooting at people, just random people.
Bruh.
Alexander shouts and tells people to run, to get back in their houses, get back in the shop, find somewhere safe. When he himself stops, he turns and looks at one of the shooters. He shouts out, "Ivan!" He recognizes one of them. Ivan is the son of a Kalechian trader, someone who used to come to that village to take fish and take it and sell it in Kalechia. But of course, this war has affected him as well. And his family, maybe his father died while trying to continue this trade at the start of the war.
So Ivan's a mercenary now?
Pretty much,
right.
Yeah. But the reason they're there, they're not just there to shoot random people. They have 2 targets in mind. The 2 journalists from the United Federation, who they believe are there to spread propaganda against Kalechia. So Alexander, confused, he's angry, he sees his friend, somebody he thought he was his friend, and he goes up to him. Despite all the gunfire, he's managed to get people to run into their houses, but he goes up to his friend Ivan, who puts his gun down, just puts it at his side, and, he's happy to see his friend, but he knows that they're with these journalists, and he says first of all in a friendly tone, "Tell me where they are. We cannot let them spread this evil news about my country." And Alexander
Nah,
says, no, you can't do that. Why are you doing this? You're the son of a trader. You shouldn't be shooting a gun. This isn't our war. Ivan raises the gun and places it against Alexander's temple.
Ooh.
Alexander, he's scared, but he doesn't really believe that his friend is going to shoot him. So he has this air of calm over him. The photographer who's in a pub peeks his head up, sees this scene, and quickly snaps a photo before ducking back down behind a window. Ivan gets distracted by this. He hears the click of the camera, and Alexander takes his chance to just sort of smack the gun away. He lands on the floor. Ivan lands on the floor, and Alex...
A few gunshots, man.
Yeah.
Maybe some spray in the air. Maybe the photographer does get shot. Maybe gets killed.
Oh, you're gonna just shoot up the photographer now? Damn. Okay.
But the camera lives on. And Alexander manages to get the gun. And for a brief second, he does point it at Ivan. Mm-hmm. His finger is nowhere near the trigger. He's never held a gun before. But he just needs that moment of showing power over this person. This isn't our war. Get rid of this gun. Go home. Take over your dad's trade. Don't do this, you muppet.
Who says that? Ivan?
Alexander. Maybe not those exact words.
Can we just call him Alex?
I will eventually, but at the moment I'm really into using full names. Ivan pulls out a handgun and says, "This is your war. This is all of our wars." And he shoots himself in the head.
What?
Because he would rather be dead than caught. So we cut to 1982. 1 year after the end of the war, 6 years after that event. So the naval forces have finally departed Nursk. Alexander has a son, a 5-year-old son. His wife is happy. He's managed to get a job again fixing ships, so he's not going out fishing anymore. There are a lot of these boats that have been, after years of being abandoned, they've sort of fallen on hard times. So he's got a job just fixing ships. Most of his friends survived the war. A lot of people left Nursk during those 6 years. They either went, further inland to escape, the collection advances, or they've emigrated to Obristan or other nearby countries. Like people like Maciek just, straight up disappeared. No one has heard from him since. He approaches his house. He's had a long day at work, and he sees this big black car outside and this red carpet leading.
So scared he was going to say big black guy.
In the middle of Arstotzka? Madness.
Could be.
That would actually be kind of dope.
They're all pale as angels out there.
So there's this big black sedan or whatever is outside his house, and there's a red carpet leading from the car to the front door.
Okay.
And he goes into his house, and it's just his family in there, and they're sort of like, that car's been out there for a while. No one's come out. It's kind of weird. Someone knocks at the door. So Alexander slowly pushes open the door. So there's these 4 government officials. One's holding a bouquet of flowers. One's holding a camera. And they say, "Congratulations, you are the winner of this month's Labour lottery."
Oh, wow.
How great would it be if it was that easy to get a job?
And then the Arstotzka national anthem plays, which you guys, you didn't hear it, but it's amazing.
Go on, give your best shot. Go on.
It's just like bum, 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 da 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 da.
Glory to Arstotzka.
It's pretty anthemic.
Yeah.
So that just starts playing. From like a boombox, that one. And then the one who's probably the leader of them all, just like, congratulations, you have won this month's Labour lottery. Get in the car. Another van, like a van, sort of pulls up in front of the house as well, and these two guys jump out, and they basically start robbing the place. That's what it feels like, but they're just going in and they're just carrying all of Alexander's stuff and his family's stuff out. And they basically say, congratulations, you have been chosen to work in East Grestin. Come and join us in the new capital.
Okay.
New capital. What happened to the old one? Destroyed.
No, they just want East Grestin to sort of represent all that is glorious in Arstotzka. It's the site of their victory, because it was Arstotzka that won the war by earning the east part of Grestin, if not the whole city. So all the family, they're all like put into this, I'm going to say it's a limousine so that there's space for
everyone.
Yeah, so they're all sort of like put in a car, essentially against their will, and they are driven, they spend about 12 hours, maybe more, in the car driving from the coastal village of Nursk to the great new capital of East Grestin. And there is a border there's like a border wall there to open it up into the city. So essentially the entire city of East Grestin has been walled up, and there are only two entrances. There's one on the east side of the city, which is where they come in, and there's one on the west side of the city, which borders West Grestin, borders Kolechia.
Right.
And the place looks pretty good. A lot of people are getting work in that city. The limousine pulls up at the Ministry of Labour, and only Alexander is asked to step out.
Ministry of Labour?
Wait, is it the Ministry of Labour?
Isn't that what 1984? Isn't that like...
He's just stealing ideas.
No, this is actually like one of the ministries in the game.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Lucas jacked it.
Lucas,
but I see you, Lucas.
Okay, they stop outside the Ministry of Admission, but there is a Ministry of Labour in this game.
Okay.
So they pull up there, and Alexander and the employees, like the ministry employees, leave the car into the Ministry of Admission, which is the ministry that he will be working for as an immigration inspector on the new border pass on the border of East Grestin.
So, doing a movie about an immigration inspector sounds like fun.
I'm trying to.
Let's keep going. I mean, they made a game out of this somehow.
Yeah, and it worked.
That's great.
So Alexander is led into this office where he meets Dmitri, who is essentially going to be his supervisor. And he tells him, "Oh, you're quite the celebrity here. Did you know that?" And he brings out this 6-year-old photo of Alexander standing against a soldier, placing a gun against his head, looking pretty damn stoic. I mean, and Dmitri says, we had to tweak it a little bit. I mean, he didn't look that menacing in the original photo, but we added a few things to make sure he looked like the bad guy and that you look like the hero. This is the first time that Alexander has seen this photo. He had no idea that it existed. He had no idea how.
Is it a picture of himself?
It's a picture. It's a photo of Alexander
when he was younger.
Yeah.
Okay.
To this city, to the people who were sort of involved in the war. He is the face of Arstotzka. Right. But he had no idea. Right. He just wanted to live in this fishing village and fix boats. Yeah. But now it's like Dmitri basically says to him, "Do you really think it's luck that you're here? Do you really think this is a lottery? Besides our great leader, you are the face of this country and we need you on that border." So Dmitri tells Alexander that he basically does not have a choice in this matter. His family have been placed in level 7 accommodation.
Is that good?
They get
Is that good? Okay, accommodation. Is that right?
better than level 10. Most people start off at level 10, but he's a celebrity, so come on, let's give him a level 7.
That sounds like B class celebrity, man.
At least
level
he
7.
he gets a window in the house, so that's the sort of status that he's at.
Okay.
He will be paid credits for every person that he processes in a day.
Mm-hmm.
If a process takes him past 6 o'clock, he will not be paid for that person.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing that on his own time for the great glory of Arstotzka.
Glory to Arstotzka.
Yeah, so he's basically got no choice in this. The first few days, it is basically just letting in Arstotzkan citizens who may have been,
Trapped outside by the war or something like that.
On his first day, they step out to the other side of the border wall, and again the anthem plays.
Glory to Arstotzka.
And all of these people in this there's already a massive queue of people waiting to come in, and they're all just supposed to sort of awkwardly stand there, whether they're Arstotzkan or not, and listen to it as they wait. And then, the ones that aren't Arstotzkan are going to be turned away in those first few days.
Yeah.
So there's sort of a montage of him, letting in Arstotzkan's glory to Arstotzka, sending away random Obrastanians because,
And Collectians.
And collections, definitely collections.
Definitely the collections.
You know what they're like.
Oh my God.
And then eventually they decide to loosen up, and they do decide to start letting in people from other countries, provided that they have the right visa, and you need to check that their issuing country is the correct country, make sure there are no fakes. And then on one of the days, he's having a lovely conversation with an Arstotzkan who recognises him from the photo and says, "Yeah, man, I want to get a photo with you." He's like, "Yeah, it'd be great." And so they do. He brings out his Polaroid camera, 80s.
Okay.
And the guy gives the photo to Alex. I decided to call him Alex now. He gives the photo to Alex and said, "I want you to remember this." And he gives the photo to him. And then he goes off.
But that was just some rando to Alex.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we hear an explosion come from the other side. And this guy has lobbed a bomb into the sort of security pallet on the other side of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then he starts shooting people. But one of the surviving guards manages to take him down. Alex sees this and he's just horrified by what he sees.
Got in that photo, boy. that was some terrorists, technically, nah?
Pretty much.
Right.
That evening, him and his 3 colleagues, they're all still there, and they all decide to have a drink just to sort of, wow, wasn't expecting that. War is over. We weren't expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dimitri, the supervisor, comes and is like, "Whew, guys, wow, that was crazy, right?"
You just had a bomb.
And he, comes, has a drink with them as well, and he basically says to them, "I know you guys aren't soldiers. You guys weren't trained to deal with any of this. I would completely understand if you can't take this job anymore. I completely understand if you wanna leave, just leave now, and that's it."
But obviously, my man's full of courage at
So-
this point.
So Alexander is already just like, "Nah, that don't sound right." But 2 of them, they're like, "Yeah, this is mad. I'm out of here. I'm out of here." So 2 of them leave. So it's just Alex and one other guy who I ran out of European names.
Sasha.
Yeah, let's go with Sasha. Don't know why I said that so weird.
Sasha.
There's just Alex and Sasha stands up and says, "I'll see you tomorrow." And, he leaves as well. So now it's just Alex and Dimitri, and they have another drink. And Dimitri says, "I'm surprised that you're still here. I thought you were going to be the first one to leave." Alex says, "Well, I feel like the safest place for my family is at this border."
Yeah.
And Dimitri says, That's the right answer. And then he stands up and gets ready to leave. And Alex asks, what's going to happen to the other two? Dimitri turns and just like gives a cheeky grin. Like, I'll see you in the morning. And he just leaves.
I'm like, what the rock? Come back here.
Like, hey, man.
Hey, you ominous self.
So days pass there's no more incidents. The two other employees have been replaced. But the people that they've been replaced with, they are a lot more sort of militant, and they're not as fun as the other two guys.
Right.
Sasha's still there as well, and he sort of picks up on that as well. It's like, oh, man, I miss the others. And then we meet this guy called Georgie, who is like one of the only recurring characters in this game. And basically, the first time he comes to the booth, it's like, okay, yeah, the border's open. Okay, it's time to go through. Like, where's your passport? What's a passport? Like, you need a passport. It's like, okay, I'll come back with a passport. All right, ta-da. See ya. A few days later, he comes back. It's like, okay, here's my passport. It's like, that's not a real country. Like, you got me. All right, I'll see ya. You do see him later on in the film.
Is there more backstory for this character in the game? Like, you find out if he has a family, he needs to go.
Nah. He's just a rascal.
Okay, he's just some dude.
Yep. Yeah. So a few days pass without any major incidents. Alex is pretty much the only person out of those four who completely gets it first time around. That this document is no longer valid. You need these two. These two are combined into one.
Right.
That one's backdated. Blah blah blah. But like people like Sasha, he's like messing up every once in a while. A few more days pass, and Alex is walking home. It's maybe about 7:00, and he hears someone call his name. He turns around, and it's Maciek. He's alive. So they go to Alex's house for dinner. Alex's wife, who I did give a name but I haven't mentioned it yet, is there and very happy to see him. I'm actually trying to find her name right now.
Actually find her
and
name and
I need
her.
you guys to vamp for me for a bit. Her name is Masha.
I was gonna guess like Marjorie or something. I felt like I was so close in my head.
Yeah, so Masha's really happy to see Maciek. It's been years since they've seen it's been years since she's seen the two best friends together. So they all have dinner and they all sort of reminisce about their childhood together, and what it was like before the war and before they all ended up in the big city. Maciek talks about what he's been doing. He decided that he was going to, he basically wanted to profit from the war somehow, because, it shouldn't just be the government that profits from it, because, yeah, they won, but did we all win, really? No, because, the government still got the money. It's the exact same government that they were before the war. Nothing has changed. Maybe it's time for change. And Alexander is just kind of like, this place is probably bugged. So
I'm not going to sound like I'm on your side right now.
So you might just want to nip it in the bud. So Alexander walks Maciek out. It's like, it's good to see you, but maybe just calm it with that revolution stuff. And Maciek's just like, you joker. All right, I'll see you around. And he leaves. So the next day, Alexander's walking to work, and it's a cold day, and he reaches into his pocket for his gloves. And this black business card falls out. And he looks at it, and there's this, it's a black card with a white diamond on it. And the letters EZIC. Ezic.
Ezic.
And then
is that in the game, bro?
Yeah.
Sick.
And then he turns it over, and there's this name, Corman Dretz. He thinks nothing of it and just sort of puts it back in his pocket. Maybe he got it, and it's the last time he went out for a drink or something. And he goes to work. A few people pass, no issues. He sends a few people away. One person tries to start a fight with him, but he gets them taken away by the guards. And then the next person comes up, and he's just this cool, suave looking, like dressed in all black. Got like the those tiny round black sunglasses on.
The Leon glasses.
And
I love that film.
And this guy, he slides over his passport. It's a passport from Obristan. It's Corman Dretz.
Ooh.
And so he looks at the passport and is like, "Oh, you're from Obristan." It's like, yeah, it's beautiful. Have you ever been before? Alexander says, "No." It's like, it's really lovely this time of year. You should visit. I mean, I'm sure that Masha would appreciate it. And little Jacob too. I'm sure the two of them would really love it. Maybe take your mother-in-law and your uncle. I mean, that small apartment's just too small for all of them, isn't it? Level 7, I can't believe it. Alex's hand slowly starts to move to the detain button. This is getting too weird for him.
Mm.
But then Commandretz laughs and he says, I'm sorry. I don't want harm to come to you or your family. I just want what's best for you. I just want what's best for Arstotzka. Commandretz brings out his real Arstotzkan passport, slides it forward. Glory to Arstotzka.
It seems like some Hell Hydra scene.
A few days later, Maciek visits Alex again. Alex isn't very happy to see him because it was probably Maciek that told this Commandretz guy, about all of his family. But Maciek has come with 2,000 credits. That's enough to keep his family fed and warm for like 2 weeks. So, it's like this was for passing the test. Corman sends his regards. You could probably move into a level 6 house if you wanted to. Meanwhile, somewhere on the other side of town, there's a governmental raid, and they find this house that's just full of weapons, full of explosives, full of drugs. Nah, not drugs, just weapons and explosives. They capture everyone that's in there, and every single one of them has a fake or expired passport.
Deep.
Jeez.
Deep.
And they can see that every single one has been approved for entry.
Right. By who?
By Alexander.
Jeez.
The next morning, Dmitry meets Alexander at the office, and he tells him to get into the car. We're going for a journey.
You're dead.
And they drive to the Ministry of Information.
Oh no!
Where they meet.
That's straight out of 1984. That one.
M. Vonel, a special investigator.
Okay.
So he sat in Vonel's office, and Vonel was like, "Would you like a mint?" It's like, okay. He takes the mint, and then like, "Have you heard of Ezek?" Alexander says no. Ronald slides a black business card towards Alex. Have you seen this before? Alex says no. Ronald tells him that the card was found in the desk of a colleague in the office, and that as of right now, that colleague will no longer be working for them. As they leave, Dmitry tells Alex that he needs to start confiscating our Arstotzkan passports, whether they're real or fake, whether they're valid or not. At the moment that anyone enters the country,
to stop letting them
in. Not to stop letting them in, but to confiscate our Arstotzkan passports.
Right.
So they want to prevent.
Let the person in, keep the passport.
Yeah. So let them in, keep them in.
Right.
If anyone challenges it too heavily, then they should be flagged for investigation.
Right.
Alex leaves the building, and that's when Sasha enters the building.
Oh, snap. Sasha's back.
For questioning.
Jeez.
We never see Sasha again.
That's why you didn't give him a name, isn't it?
Yeah. That evening, Maciek comes with another 2,000 credits. Thanks for not ratting us out. You passed the second test. I'm sorry about what happened to Sasha.
Oh, man.
But someone had to take the fall. Alexander goes mad and saying he was the only good one. He was a good man. He had nothing to do with this. And Magic basically says, "This is our country. This country belongs to everyone, but some people need to take the fall.
Some sacrifices need to be made.
Sacrifices have to be made."
Bruv, these guys are bad.
Like I said, in the game,
It's funny because I imagine playing the game and having to make these kind of decisions.
yeah. I mean, in the game, you have the option of just straight up ignoring them.
Yeah.
But so I'm trying to balance that, having it that, you know, Alexander is like, should I? And, you know, there are certain parts where he has no control over the matter. So, a few more days pass, and Alexander takes Masha to look at a level 5 house. Because he's been helping Ezek so much, he's getting in extra credits, and he's able to skip that level 6. He can jump straight to level 5. And this place has so many windows, you guys.
We have views.
Masha's like, how can you even afford this? And it's like, I have my ways. So, you know, he's slowly starting to be corrupted by Ezek. You know, he does want what is best for his family, and he thinks what's best for his family is helping Ezek to overthrow the government, essentially. The one that, you know, has his family in their hands. So if he can loosen that grip by any means necessary, he will. So they look at the place and it's like, should we move here? Masha says yes. They go home to tell everyone the good news, but it's just Alexander's uncle there. Where's Jacob? Where's our son?
Yeah.
He's in the hospital. He's fallen ill. So Alex is scared about, you know, what could have, like, is this an honest illness or has someone targeted my son? I'm scared for my life. I'm scared for his life. He calls up Maciek, and basically, yeah, they meet in the middle of the night, and he says, I need to meet Corman Dretz again. I need to speak to him. And Maciek says, you don't just meet Corman. Corman meets you.
Oh.
But I'll see what I can do. I heard about your son. I'm sorry. And they managed to organise a meeting. Meanwhile, Marsha, she is at her son's side. She meets this woman who moved there from another country, from Impor. It was supposed to be her and her husband, but her husband wasn't let in. His visa expired the day before they moved, but it was just one day. It shouldn't have made that much of a difference, but there was just one man who refused to let him through. The face of Arstotzka, Alexander.
If you can't tell, I'm shaking my head right now.
You're a terrible person. You come from terrible people. I curse you and your family. This woman spits at Masha. This woman is a nurse at this hospital.
Ooh.
I've seen the sorts of people that your husband has let through and didn't even let my husband in. Just that sort of stuff. So,
Right.
So Alexander has gone and has finally gotten that meeting with Corman Dretz, and Alexander says to him, "Are you responsible for my son falling ill? I needed to hear it from you." And Corman says, "No."
How could you accuse me of such a thing?
Like, what good would that do me? Like I said, I want the best for you and your family. Like I said, maybe you guys should go to Obristan. This isn't your war. And Alexander says, this is my war.
This is my war.
It is now. It is this time. Corman says, all right, well, your family should leave at the very least. But Alexander's passport and his family's passports have all been taken. They were the first ones to be confiscated. So they cannot leave the country. But what Corman says, but you can still get to Obristan. If you go to the north, there's another border check there. If you have Obristanian passports, shouldn't be a problem. And so over the next few days, Alexander starts collecting Obristan passports
Yeah.
and saying, I have to confiscate it. Those are the rules.
Takes the pictures out and then puts their own in.
Yeah, so Dimitri, this is flagged by Dimitri, who's like, why are you taking passports? He's like, no, I'm not taking passports. I'm like, you're definitely taking passports. So, glory to Arstotzka. He's like, all right.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, this is definitely flagged up by Dimitri, who thinks this is weird. But maybe Alexander is trying to sort of pass the blame over to one of the more militant guards, the ones that haven't been doing as good of a job as Alexander has. He's the face of this office, if not the whole country. He manages to get 5 passports for the son, for the wife, for the mother-in-law, the uncle, for himself. And he's got these passports, but of course, I've got other people's photos in them. He takes them to Maciek, who says, I don't know what to do with those, but I think I know a guy. It's Georgie. Yeah, he's in the country now.
Yeah.
And he's been coming in and out this whole time. And this whole time he's been he was the one that smuggled the weapons in.
Right.
Weapons and stuff like that. That is the one thing that Alexander is refusing to let through. But somehow someone has been letting these guns through. Someone's been slipping up on their job, and it's definitely not been him. Georgie basically says, tried to get it past you, but yeah, the other guys ain't so good, so yeah, that's me. That is his business. He is a smuggler. And he also knows guys who can change the photos on the passports. All he has to do is get the photos. So he gives Alexander a camera and tells him to go and take photos of his family members. And so he does. But his wife, Marsha, and his uncle are both like, what is this? We do not need to leave. This isn't what we should do. And so the uncle decides that he's going to go back to Nursk. If they're leaving, he has nothing for him in this country. He's not going to Obristan. He is loyal to Arstotzka. And he promises that he's not going to tell the government what they're planning, but he is not going to Obristan. So he decides to go back to Nursk. Meanwhile, Alexander, he's starting to get the rest of the family together to, preparing to leave, but he still needs to. He needs to still carry on working right up until the night that they decide to leave. The next day, he's visited by M. Vonnel.
Uh-oh. Street Fighter.
And basically says, there's been lots of Ezek activity the past few days. Have you heard anything? Alexander's like, nope, nothing here. And
liar.
M. Vonnel says, we're going to have a full investigation here tomorrow at midday. You're going to be here, right? Alexander nods. Yeah, because if you're not, your family, your family won't be happy to hear that, will they?
Oh, threats all round.
So he goes home that day, and he sees that there are people watching his house. So he cannot leave that night. He doesn't know when he's going to be able to leave, but he can't go to work the next day because if they do a deep investigation probe into any Ezek activity, they're eventually going to find something that leads back to him. Maybe there's been hidden cameras that have been watching him as he's been letting certain Ezek agents through the country, bringing certain items, bringing certain people. But he doesn't know, so he's scared. But he decides that he's going to go to work the next day. I forgot to mention that at a certain point, a gun was installed in the office because they had to cut the number of soldiers working there and move them to other points in the city where there've been riots.
Right.
What's
the gun for then?
The gun is so if
they can use it
if someone's like trying to jump over a wall, just
what kind of gun? A rifle, yeah.
No, rifle, not a sniper rifle, just regular.
Just a rifle.
Yeah, and so that day it's so he starts the day. He's kind of tense. He's looking around. He's wondering if there's anything that he can like hide in his pockets, anything that might be suspicious. And at about 11:45, quarter to midday, M. Vonel, he's on his way, and his vehicle explodes.
Ooh.
M. Vonel is dead. Meanwhile, back at the border, there's like Alexander doesn't know this, so he's still panicking about what's going to happen with this investigation, and because of that, he's working quite slowly, and the queue outside is getting restless because there's only 3 employees now. Sasha is gone and they haven't found a replacement because they don't have the money for a replacement. Right. So the past few weeks, everything's been moving slowly. There's been loads of people who have been coming at 6 o'clock in the morning and are still in the queue at 6 o'clock at night, and they've been doing that day after day after day, and they haven't made it in, and they're getting restless and they riot. There's a massive ruckus in the queue. And so the few remaining soldiers, they have to go into the queue and stop all this fighting and shouting. And one young woman decides to take this opportunity to run for the wall. And she manages to climb up, and this triggers an alarm. But all of the soldiers are too occupied dealing with the crowd that they don't see this one woman climbing over. The shutter comes down on Alexander's booth, so he doesn't have to deal with that person there. But he sees through the window this woman land on the other side and start running for
freedom,
running for Arstotzka.
Freedom, glory to Arstotzka. Does she shout that as she's going Arstotzka?
And so, the 2 militant guys, they decide that because they're sort of bigger, they do have a military background. They decide that they're going to go and help the soldiers.
Yeah.
So it's just Alexander in this booth. It's just him and this gun. He takes the gun. He points it at her. It's the first time he's held a gun since holding it towards his friend, an innocent person who just wanted freedom for his country, and now he's holding it, pointing it towards this young woman who just wants freedom. He takes the shot. The woman falls to the ground. She bleeds out, and he just starts to freak out. He leaves the office there and then. He just walks. As he walks away from the wall, this truck comes barreling through. In the front seat of the car, as it speeds past, he sees Maciek in the driver's seat, driving towards the wall. It crashes through the wall, knocking it down. Everyone begins to run through. These soldiers are trying to shoot at random people, trying not to kill, but only to maim, just to try and trip people up. But people just start falling over, trampling over people, trampling over the body of this dead girl that Alexander killed himself. And he runs home, and he gets his family, and he says, "We're leaving. We have to leave now." Meanwhile, the city itself is, the city has erupted in this full-blown riot. The people who are watching their house has been distracted by the chaos. And he manages to get them into a taxi, or they have to sort of like run to the outer edges of this city, to the other border. He shows the Obristan passport. They're let out of the city, but they're still in Arstotzka. Right. They managed to
flag... Does the passport have that? It's switched up now.
Yeah, they put the photos on. Remember. Managed to get their... they managed to flag down a vehicle that drives them to the Obristan border to the north. A few days have passed. They see a newspaper talking about how Izek has overthrown the government. We're in the age of a new Arstotzka. but how long will it last? They decide to still go for the border. They make it to the queue for the border for Obristan. They wait 12 hours. They make it to the guard. The guard says, "Papers, please."
Jeez.
And that's my film.
Okay.
I finally had an ending for the first time in like a year. Yeah.
Yo,
It's an interesting piece.
it is. I mean, I guess it's seeing the decline of a country, but also seeing the decline of a character. All the kind of wrong decisions.
Yeah, I like
kind of
that
like-
actually. I think that
It kind of
probably one of the
captures
most
game.
interesting pictures, just because of those decisions that he has to make. It feels very a la
And you're with him the whole time. innit?
Batman, Dark Knight-ish kind of Batman, where like, I mean, you didn't really give him those sort of like options, like in
Yeah.
Batman, you know, save this character or save this character kind of thing. But
it was more like save yourself.
yeah,
or
or
save yourself in a different way.
yeah, exactly. And I think those always, for me anyway, make for the most interesting kind of stories. Yeah, man,
Also,
it's
this
a
thing
heavy
is
topic.
bigger than him.
Yeah,
as
so
well,
much bigger. I love how, like, you know, with that sort of ambiguous ending, you're like, it almost seems as if everyone feels like the grass is greener on the other side, you know?
Yeah. In the game, there's one point where people start coming into the country looking for asylum.
Hmm.
And you get that from people from pretty much all the countries, which sort of suggests that it's not just Arstotzka and Kolechia that have had any kind of war or sort of decline. It's all of these countries, so definitely there must be something going on in Obristan that people are coming
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
I think in the previous game by Lucas Pope, there was a war between I think Antegria and Republia, and the aim of that game is to like make this newspaper, which is to try and make Republia look as good as possible
Right.
after the war. So it's just like that propaganda machine.
I
Right.
guess the thing that comes to my mind is, with games, two significant things. The endings and game overs, right? Like, I wonder, in the actual game, do you get a game over? How do you get it?
I don't want to spoil. I don't want to, because I want you guys to play it. But it's
Good
like
luck.
it's like you can be arrested for so many different things.
Yeah,
Right.
You can be arrested for being loyal to Arstotzka.
What?
You can like
What?
I think there's like one ending where you can be like overly loyal.
That's suspicious.
Yeah.
Glory to Arstotzka.
Hey!
Wait, shut up, man. No one loves this country that much, man.
Nah, but then, yeah, and then the ending, 20 endings, it's like you're trying to wrap them all up into as many as you possibly can into one.
To be fair, most of those endings are quite similar.
Yeah,
But-
I imagine. But it's how you get there that
Makes
It's sort of like you helped Isaac 2 times,
fam.
but you're still pretty loyal. You helped Isaac 3 times, and you turned this person away. They came back for revenge. Stuff.
What, did Sasha come back from the dead or something? That's the thing. Like, that would be a bit of a madness to be perfect.
Zombie mode.
Or just like they chucked him in a cellar and then you can make a completely different game about Sasha's escape. Oh my days, that would be sick.
If you liked this week's pitch, maybe you want to make some suggestions. Maybe you want to write some lyrics for the Arstotzka national anthem, because as far as I know, there aren't any. But I really want there to
You
be
might as well
some.
just send this to the guy who made it. See what
Just,
he's
what's
saying.
your name?
Lucas Pope.
I almost called him Justin.
You can find us at brokenelevatorpod@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, although I've been slacking on Instagram recently. But you can find us at Broken E Pod. You can check out our website, thebrokenelevator.co.uk. I will put on a walkthrough that I sent these two guys that I found really interesting. Basically, as you watch each video, you see this guy sort of decline into this like Arstotzkan accent.
the guy
Glory
narrating
to
the like video.
All right. I think to end, we should all stand up and sing the national anthem.
National anthem, okay.
Bum 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 bum. Da 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 da.
Oh!
Jordan!
Arstotzka.